beautiful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to me. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God. Preach, Doc.
Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing? Good. Happy Black History Month. We got a couple more days left, so let's enjoy them while we have them. My name is Dynshia Miller, and I'm really excited to be talking to all of you tonight. The last time I spoke in this chapel was about 6 years ago during homecoming week when I happened to be student government president and I was running for homecoming queen at the same time. So it's a little, it's cool to be back, and my message 6 years ago centered on embracing challenges. And as a 21-year-old senior at the time, I thought I knew a little bit about what it meant to embrace challenges, and now not so much. I don't think I do that much. But since then, life has taught me so much. And in the year since I gave my last chapel message, I have had a lot more challenges come my way. It's been much harder to practice what I preached back then and learn to embrace those challenges. I've been able to not let those challenges defeat me or get the best of me. And the key to this has been to learn to trust in God's plan for me. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you all about the importance of God's plan and learning to trust in God's path for you as a young Black person. Before I get into my main message, I want to help you get to know me a little bit better. So I graduated from UND in 2014 with a bachelor's in communication and a minor in Spanish. During undergrad, I was super involved on campus in student government. I was on the exec board for Black Student Association for a few years, did speech team, and a whole lot of other things. I also studied abroad in Spain, took a spring term trip to Puerto Rico, and all during my college career, my aspiration was to be a motivational speaker. Now, I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do that when I graduated, because you can't just graduate and motivate. But after graduation, I did get a job as a press secretary for the Indiana State Department of Agriculture. I worked in that position for a little over 2 years, and in 2016, I decided I wanted to go back to school to pursue a master's degree in international relations. And wouldn't you know that one of the only IR master's programs in the state and region was at my alma mater, UND. So I applied and was accepted into the program. During graduate school, I was a graduate assistant, an assistant speech team coach, a project regalia mentor, and I worked on different committees, and I even found time to study abroad in South Africa. My involvement here at UND in the last couple of years is the reason why I've become familiar with some of the faces in the audience tonight. This past May, I graduated with my master's degree, and in December of 2018, I started a job as an assistant field director for the Institute for Study Abroad, so that's what I'm doing right now. Now, everything I just told you about myself was the very pretty, succinct, short version of my life for the last 9 years. For most people, and especially Black people, life does not happen in such a pretty and succinct way. There's a series of twists, turns, and tests that happen on a daily basis, things that make you question your ability, your worth, your purpose. And I'm going to tell you a few instances in which I experienced this and had to learn to trust in God's path and plan for me. There have been several times that I've been frustrated with myself because I've never truly known what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I just want God to make me an instrument of His peace and to show me what His plan is for me. I would sometimes wonder why I couldn't just be a normal student who had a normal path. Like, let's say, why can't I just want to be a lawyer? Go to college, major in pre-law, go to law school, take the bar exam, boom, I'm a lawyer. But that wasn't my path. My path was way more like this than a straight line. But I told myself in college, and I've been telling myself now, that eventually at the end of all of this, I want to look back and I'll think I'll be grateful that I didn't have such a straight line, such a linear path to success. So even when I was in your shoes as a college student, I struggled with trusting in God's plan for me. After college, while I was working as the press secretary for the Indiana State Department of Agriculture, I decided not to apply for a position that would have given me a promotion in the department. The director of the department decided to take the time and pull me aside to tell me, Dynshia, I just want to thank you for knowing you weren't mature enough for that position and for deciding not to apply. Thank you for knowing you weren't mature enough for that position and deciding not to apply. Now, I had never had a conversation with him on if I wanted to apply for the position or not. He made his own assumptions. The words he said to me demeaned my youth, they demeaned my intelligence, they demeaned my gender, and they demeaned my race. He didn't know that I didn't apply for that job because I didn't enjoy working there, and I was actively trying to find another job. He didn't know I wasn't trying to move up in an organization in which I was undervalued, underutilized, and the only drop of diversity. He thanked me for trying not to excel and better myself. Now, we all have had those times when we've been offended. But we have to keep a straight face and go, turn around and go the other way so you don't say something that you shouldn't say.
Amen.
That's one of those times for me. Instances like this just made me work harder at finding a new job. I thought that with my resume and a title like press secretary, I would have no problem getting interviews and job offers, but I was very wrong. I spent a year and a half applying to job after job, networking with countless people, and I couldn't get one interview. This was extremely discouraging to me, and it took a toll on me physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I couldn't just quit because I had bills to pay and a life to maintain. I kept trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? Am I not getting jobs because I'm black? Because with a name like Dynshia on the resume, you can easily be discriminated against because it's obviously a black name. I asked God, what more am I supposed to be doing? Eventually, God answered me and revealed the next step in his path for me. The reason I wasn't getting interviews or getting a job was because God's plan wasn't for me to get a new job. My plan was to get a new job, but God's plan was for me to quit my job and go to grad school full time. The relief and joy I felt when this plan was revealed to me was amazing. Things started to make so much sense. So I applied to grad school, was accepted, and quit my job in August of 2016. On the Monday following my last day of work, I remember waking up and saying, God, I hope I made the right decision. I just didn't know. I just quit a full-time job and said, let's try grad school. So he answered me later that day when I was not only offered a graduate assistantship, but I was offered a position as the assistant coach for the Unity speech team. I left an environment that didn't truly value me as a black person, and I entered an environment in which my opinion as a black person mattered and was wanted. I was able to flourish in grad school. It was way harder than undergrad, as it should be, but I was able to learn so much, meet some amazing people, and get some amazing opportunities. And all I had to do was trust in God's plan for me. My graduate program was a 2-year program, and at the beginning of my second year, I knew I needed to start thinking about and planning what I wanted to do after graduation. I networked, tried to get career help, read career books, but as usual, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Big surprise, I know. Now, the field of international relations is a very broad field. There's a lot of different career options. I didn't know the exact job I wanted, but I know I wanted to work for an international nonprofit. I wanted to make some decent money. I wanted to have a job that entailed travel, and I wanted to leave Indiana. Even though I put in the time and effort to find a job and figure out what I wanted to do, when I walked across that stage last May, I was in the same situation as I was the last time I walked across that stage 4 years prior. I had no job, and I had no real idea what I was going to be doing professionally. But I still had a plan. I still trusted God. I still trusted that God was going to guide me. My lease in my apartment was up in June, so I moved back home to Fort Wayne temporarily to save money and be able to devote time to finding a job. I gave myself 2 months of living off my savings to see if I can find something. Well, I didn't find something, and in 2 months had passed, and I had to find a part-time job that would help me pay my bills and help keep my professional skills sharp. So in August of 2018, I ended up getting a part-time job as a presenter for a local career college in Fort Wayne. I traveled to high schools in Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, giving life skill presentations to students. Then at the end of the presentation, I would spend the last 10 minutes telling them why they should go to the career college I was representing. And so my job was basically to travel, do public speaking, and recruitment. I didn't enjoy that job because of the way that they ran things in the office environment, but I knew I had to push through it. Throughout this time, I was still applying for jobs, networking, and seeking career guidance. I was getting discouraged during this process because week after week, month after month, I wasn't really making any progress. I questioned this part of God's plan for me because I couldn't understand why I couldn't get a full-time job and what was the true purpose of me having to work a part-time job that I didn't even enjoy. I wondered, am I not getting jobs because I'm black? Am I not getting jobs because I now have dreadlocks? I thought this especially because at that time in the news, they were talking about how it was now legal for companies to not hire someone because they have locks. Because of my struggles, I started to compromise on my plan and the original list of what I wanted in a job. Maybe I should work at a regular nonprofit instead of an international nonprofit. Maybe I should get a job that doesn't include traveling. Maybe I have to take a lower paying job. Maybe I need to start applying to jobs in Indiana. In late September, I was on LinkedIn and I came across a job posting for the assistant field director position at the Institute for Study Abroad in Indianapolis. When I initially saw the job, I wasn't too excited about it because I didn't really plan on working in study abroad, even though I know I would be qualified for it. But as I mentioned, I realized I may need to change my expectations, especially because I was coming up on 5 months post-graduation with no full-time employment. So I applied. A week later, I got an email to set up an interview for the position. Now, I was happy that someone actually wanted to interview me for a job, but I still wasn't too excited about it because I didn't see it as a part of my plan. Once I completed the first interview and learned more about the organization, I then started to get excited. The whole interview to job offer process took about 5 weeks. For the last 2 of those 5 weeks, I hadn't heard from them, and I assumed I didn't get the job. And I was super depressed about it. Like, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I was so sad. Because even though initially I wasn't interested in the job, after I learned about it, I began to really want the job. I can visualize myself doing it, so I got my hopes up. I asked God, if I couldn't even get a job at a study abroad organization in Indiana, where could I get a job? Eventually, I came to terms with thinking that I didn't get it, and I decided to stop being depressed and pick myself up and keep pushing. Now, the day after I decided that, they emailed me offering me the job. Amen, I was happy. I was super happy. Now, throughout my job search, people would ask me if I would take a job in Indiana, and because I was only looking outside of Indiana. And I always answered, only if it's a really good opportunity. The job I have now is that really good opportunity. In thinking about my original list of what I wanted in a job, this organization, ironically or divinely, ended up checking off all of those boxes. The Institute for Study Abroad happens to be an international nonprofit with employees all around the world. I get to travel all around the U.S. visiting different college campuses. Although I'm not making a ton of money because I do still work for a nonprofit, I make way more money than I did when I worked for the state. And no, I didn't move outside of Indiana, and I'm completely fine with it. I know this is where I'm supposed to be right now. The funny thing is that part-time job that I had to have this past summer actually prepared me well for the job that I have now. Because the job I have now, I travel, I do recruitment, and I talk to students just like I did before. This showed me that God clearly knows what he's doing. I now work for an organization that works to embrace, support, and promote diversity and inclusion at all levels. I work for an organization that sees my black skin as equal and important. Do I help check a diversity box for them? Yes. But because we live in a time in which diversity and inclusion is becoming more and more valued, I choose to use the color of my skin to my benefit and to help open doors for me when it can. Yes, I just told you about 2 career stories. You may think, Dynshia, I'm not in a career. I don't have a job right now. I'm just a college student. What does that have to do with me? The answer is patience and faith. Any time in your life when you're trying to figure out your next steps, or something didn't work out the way you planned, you're not getting the answer you want when you wanted it, or you're in a situation you just don't want to be in. The key is to have patience and faith, and that will help you trust in God's plan for you. No matter what you do or how you plan, we will all have to deal with some of the things I just mentioned. There will be times when we'll be in environments that don't accept or want our blackness or don't see our blackness as 100% equal. So I'm going to give you a few pieces of advice that can help you deal with some of the challenges that will cross your path so that your patience, faith, and trust in God's plan can remain strong. This advice falls under 3 categories: self-control, self-care, and finding a community. Self-control. I view this as being responsible for what you do and who you are. In life in general, I hold myself to a higher standard because I'm Black. When I was in leadership positions here at UIndy, I would sometimes think to myself, I can't mess this up because I could jeopardize opportunities for myself and for all the students who would come after me. At almost any company you work for, when you first get a job, your new person is a big magnifying glass on you. When you're Black, that magnifying glass expands because not only are you new, but you're Black and you're new. So I've learned from myself and from others that if you do something wrong or cut corners in any situation, whether it's a job, a class, anything like that, it's not as understandable or forgivable when your skin color is similar to mine. It's sad that I have to tell you this, but it's reality in a lot of places. Now, when someone offends you, think about how the way you react could affect you. Don't ever let your reaction to someone's ignorance mess up the good things that you have going for you. When someone says something crazy to you, your first instinct may be to tell them how you really feel, go off, or just fight them. Instead of doing all that, try to engage them in healthy conversation that can result in some type of mutual understanding. But also realize sometimes the best reaction is no reaction, and you just need to turn around and walk away. Now the next advice is figuring out what self-care means to you and how to do it. Now how many of you practice self-care? A few of you, okay, a little bit here and there. Okay. So self-care for you can mean praying, reading, hanging out with friends, listening to music, playing sports, or whatever it is that brings you joy or helps de-stress you. Self-care for you can mean going to counseling, dealing with issues that may be holding you back. There's online resources for therapy and counseling like Talkspace.com and therapyforblackgirls.com. There's counseling resources here at UIndy, or you can seek out your own therapist. Self-care for you can mean taking social media breaks.
Amen.
Analyzing what you post and why you post it. Analyze who you follow and why you follow them. There's an app I use called Stay Focused when I want to take social media breaks. It lets me choose what apps I want to block and how long I want to block them. And this really helps me figure out, okay, Aisha, how much time are you really spending on social media? What more could you be doing with your life? So this may be something that helps you as well. Another element of self-care is celebrating yourself. You need to have an optimistic view of your life. Speak positivity in your life. If you're always negative and all you put into the world is negativity, all you're going to get back is negativity. Give yourself credit when you win and succeed. As Snoop Dogg said, I want to thank me. Don't be afraid to acknowledge the time, hard work, effort, and accomplishments that you have put in. Snoop Dogg did. He said, you know what, I want to thank me. This is great. All y'all great. But I just want this. So take some time to thank yourself.
All right.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
That's right.
Now, my final piece of advice is to find a community that understands you and supports you as a Black person, because we all know there are plenty of communities and forces out here that don't want us to succeed. Communities come in different shapes and sizes. This right here is a beautiful community, and I'm so glad this weekly service was started for you all. Your community may be your church or different clubs here on campus. Your community may just be your family, your group of friends, or just your best friend or a mentor. It doesn't matter what your community looks like, it just matters that you have one. Now, I don't think I would have survived in life thus far as well as I have if I didn't have God, and if I hadn't practiced the 3 pieces of advice I just gave you. Walking in God's path for me for almost 27 years has been a challenging and humbling experience. But more than that, it has been joyous, strengthening, and a beautiful experience. Every up and down and in between has shown me that I am beautiful, strong, loved, wanted, important, and powerful. And your ups and downs will show you the same. Life has taught me and continues to teach me that God will reveal His plan for you but in His time, not yours. I hope that by sharing some of my story and the path I'm walking in God's plan for me, it will help you as you walk in God's path for you. One can only hope that the older we get and the more we walk with God, the more we'll learn to trust in God's plan for us. Thank you.